Sorry about that, guys. Live now, Denver Bronco Roundup, take two. It's a 50-50 show. We're going to talk about the number 50 this episode. We're going to talk about players, expectations this year of 50-50, expectations, 50 plus one, second round draft picks. We're going to pick our options there, and a 50-second rant by none other than myself and Trevor Salzman. Sorry about that intro, guys. The big 50 next year. So Bronco Roundup starting live now. Let's get it going. Good evening, Bronco fans. Welcome to another episode of Denver Bronco Roundup. Intro was a little messed up, and I don't know, for those people who've been around, Trevor, you're a little younger than me. For those people who have been around, Dick Clark and Ed McMahon had a blooper show, and that would have been perfect for their show, would have been headline, because I forgot my lines, let's say. But tonight's show is all about the number 50, everyone, and that's because I am going to be celebrating a 50th birthday tomorrow. Yes. So for tonight, before I get to our co-host Trevor, our show is officially going to be revolved around the number 50. We got players that may or may not make the Broncos roster next year. So a 50% chance or less on players that we think may be in trouble of making the 2025 roster. 50 plus one, we're going to give you some realistic options at 51 in this year's draft, our second round draft pick. And to wrap up the show, we got a little 50-second rant or longer on our expectations this upcoming year. So that being said, that was the intro I was supposed to give at the beginning of the show, everybody. Sorry about that. But let me go to my co-host tonight. Keith is taking the night off. Everything's good. He's just got the night off. But I'm here with my friend Rocket Man Salzman. How we doing, Trevor?
Doing well, Kenny. Happy early birthday to you, my friend. It's a pleasure to be here with you on a Tuesday night. Sorry about the intro, everybody, but, we adjust and we adjust well. Kenny's a great host and excited to have him here. Earlier, we had our, April Fool's joke for everybody else. Everybody who saw our advertisement on Facebook thought they weren't having a show. Psych, we're having a show. We're on tonight and doing a show for you guys, for the posse, and excited and can't wait to get into it.
Yes, and I'm going to get to some comments, but Paul brought up a good one. I forgot about this in the agenda, and how can I forget about this? Super Bowl 50. We're going to give you, we'll get some favorite moments from that Super Bowl 50 where we beat the Carolina Panthers. So why don't we get the show started? Trevor, we'll get some comments in. We got some hellos. We got David coming in. Good evening, Broncos Country and Horseman. Good evening, David. Pearl is saying hi, Kenny. Hi, Trevor, as well. Paul, what's up, Kenny? Woohoo. I was getting some love there for just standing there with deer in headlights. Paul wants to talk about Russ versus the Broncos rematch. Yeah, and I'm a Giants fan, so, that's going to be fun for me, Paul. And Paul, thank you for, accepting that. All good. And Paul saying happy birthday. And Michael, everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo. Good evening, Trevor, Kenny, and Go Bo Broncos. And Pearl's also watching the Avalanche hockey. And I think we're ready to get the show started, Trevor. So I got a fun one to start the night off for you and our audience members out there. It's called the 50-50. For those who don't know, there's, when you go to bingo or, any kind of event, like a high school football game, you have a 50-50 raffle. And you got maybe much like a 50% chance of winning or 50% of the prize pool. Well, our 50-50 is going to be players on the Broncos that we think have a 50% chance of making this roster next year, or even less. So at the most 50% chance on our radar, who's 50%. And I'll go first, Trevor. I'm going to give everybody a big name to start off. My big name for this roster is Jaleel McLaughlin. And I know nobody's really said that on Jaleel McLaughlin's chances of making this team. He's right now the number one running back. So yeah, he's safe right now. But what if the Broncos draft 2 running backs in this draft? If we go and draft 2 running backs in this draft, and you got second-year Audric Estime and Blake Watson on the practice squad and Tyler Bidet, somebody's the odd man out. And to me, it's Jaleel McLaughlin. What's your thoughts on that, Trevor?
Yeah, I think I'm on board with you, Kenny, for the most part. I don't know if he's in particular the name that's going to be out the door. I think that Jaleel McLaughlin, I think Sean Payton likes what Jaleel McLaughlin brings to the team. For me, I mean, there's another running back in this room that I think that his job might be in jeopardy. But honestly, all these running backs' jobs probably are in jeopardy, Kenny. The running game wasn't good enough last year. It wasn't utilized good enough, and it wasn't good enough from a production standpoint. So all these running backs, honestly, they all should be on the block as far as, are we going to be able to make this roster or not? And, I mean, we'll see who that ends up being, in training camp and whatnot. There'll be competition. I'm sure the Broncos will bring in some more competition through the draft and whatnot. Running back, George Payton has already came out and said, we're going to be taking a running back at some point in time in this draft. So no doubt, I wouldn't put it past Jaleel McLaughlin to not be on this roster. And Kenny, there's something to keep in mind with this. Depending on what kind of running back the Broncos draft and how high they draft may be a sign of who may be out the door later on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to apologize. When we said hello to Michael, he did send 1,000 stars. And Michael, we're just getting if anybody sends stars and we don't, or super chats and we don't get to it or read it, please let us know. Sometimes we don't see it in the chat, and that one slipped by us. So thank you, Michael. Everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo, sending us 1,000 stars and showing us much love. We greatly appreciate you, Michael, and everybody in the audience as well. Let's get your first one, Trevor, and then I'll go to the chat for some more.
Well, I'm going to go another running back, Kenny. I'm going to go Audric Estime. This is a guy that was, a fifth-round draft pick last year, and he didn't play at all in Buffalo. He sat the bench in Buffalo. That, to me, is a real concern going forward for him if he doesn't come back and he's a better running back going forward in the next season. In my opinion, Kenny, here's my thing with Estime. I like Estime. Do I love Estime? Not really. I mean, again, I think that he's talented in some ways. I just think that there's limitations with him at running back, and there's a reason the Broncos didn't play him, and they played a guy like Tyler Bidet in Buffalo, even though it wasn't utilized a lot. But I mean, that's not his fault. Audric Estime, for me, he's got to be on this list, Kenny. I mean, he just hasn't produced enough, and I know he's a 5th-round pick, and I know that he needs time to develop. But it's like, again, if Denver's going to go, running back in the draft and particularly high, is Estime a guy that they need to develop? If you already have your guy that to develop high in the draft. And Estime, out of all these guys, he didn't get a bulk of the playing time. McLaughlin, we've seen McLaughlin multiple times this year. We've seen Javonte Williams multiple times last season, and then Tyler Bidet multiple times last season. Estime got his chance, Kenny, but he didn't perform up to what he and the Broncos want him to perform at. And so he sat the bench in Buffalo, and that's a concern for me going into next season unless he becomes a lot better and got better over the offseason.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Trevor. I mean, when I look at drafts, I know, a lot of people look at drafts differently. My drafts are 1st to 4th rounds, you got to hit. Anything after that, if you hit, it's gravy on the mashed potatoes. So 5th is at the top of that 5th through 7th round pick and undrafted free agents. But if Estime doesn't make this team and he's released, to me, it's not a huge loss because it was a 5th round pick. It's the top of the list there from 5th to undrafted, but it's still not at the top from 1st to 4th, where I think you have to hit if you want to be successful in this league. You do have, exceptions 5th through 7th, but if he doesn't perform, he's out the door. And I'm with you there.
Well, and Kenny, here's the thing, something to think about. he doesn't play special teams. So if he's not your starting running back or in that running back rotation, he's not going to be on. He doesn't play special teams. He didn't last season, So maybe something changes this year. I don't know, but I think that hurts a guy like Audric Estime to make this roster because he doesn't play special teams and the lack thereof. He's got to be able to contribute in multiple ways if he's not the starting running back on this team.
Yeah, let's get to some comments again. Paul answering PJ Locke. Curious to see if that's on your list. He's not on my list. There's Keith, our fellow horseman, leader of the horsemen, holding it down and cracking the whip. Have a great show, gentlemen. Keith, we miss you tonight. We'll see you on Friday, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Keith got the night off. Everything's well. He's just taking the night off. Needs a little me day. So we're Trevor and I holding the fort down. See you next week, buddy. Pearl's agreeing with Ingram. Ingram picked number 1 as his number, by the way. And then Keith saying, The Rock, truly posse royalty. I agree. He is the king. He's definitely one of the kings. Paul agreeing with me, Trevor. All the running backs are 50-50. Paul's also saying Rock is amazing. Much love getting in there for Michael. Pearl saying hello. There's our great buddy over there in California, Mr. Ernie Mays. Go Broncos country only. Go Bo Nix for 6. Michael going with Mel Kiper had the Broncos taking Keyshawn Jenkins at pick 51 in the second round of the last NFL mock. And that's going to be our next segment coming up in a few moments called 50+1. We're going to give you all the picks, all our realistic options at pick 51 for the Broncos, which is, everybody talks about first round, but second round is where the drafts are won a lot. Ernie saying, Estime gone. Paul's asking, do stars equal dollars? It's the equivalent of a super chat, Paul. It does help the channel out and supports Denver Bronco Roundup or any podcast that you watch and they get super chats on YouTube. It supports the channel, helps out the channel. Our good friend Karen saying hello. Good evening, Karen. How are you? Hope all's well for you. Paul's also saying Watson might stick around this year. And then a couple more comments coming up. Paul saying Estime had his knee scoped in camp, so he will come out stronger this year. Let's hope for Jody's sake. He's a big Estime guy. Some hellos going back and forth. And Karen, like Keith's having a me day. She loves me days. And Paul likes Judkins. And Karen's also last comment coming up. I am already saving up for a ticket for next year, putting money in a cash envelope as a thing. This is going to be a fun season to watch. Do they still have half-price tickets? I think she meant. Do they have half-price tickets over there? Trevor, do you know?
Yeah, I haven't really looked at ticket prices quite yet, Karen. Just a lot still to handle throughout the offseason. So we'll get that information out if we do in fact see that. But hopefully you are able to make a game next year because they're a lot of fun to attend for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I got you, Karen. With half price tickets. No, thank you. Also, guys, you got any questions, comments, concerns? You guys are throwing a lot of comments out there. Give us a question or a concern. We'll answer it the best of our knowledge and give you our expertise on certain topics and questions you all may have. Trevor, I'm going to give you my next one I got. And that was Jaleel McLaughlin was my bigger name. Mm-hmm. But this was a guy that I had high hopes on last year to beat a tight end that Sean Payton can develop. And he just didn't work out last year. And that's Lucas Krull. I think he's in trouble of making this roster, and it might even be 50-50 at best. Evan Ingram comes over. There's a good chance the Broncos are going to draft a tight end in this draft somewhere. Adam Trautman, he's a Peyton guy. I think he's going to stick around. Where does Lucas Krull fit on this team? I don't know if it's there. And I think this could be one of the easier ones for me as opposed to 50-50. I'm going to take my chances of him, unfortunately, not making the team.
And Kenny, with Lucas Kroll, real quick, a couple days ago, we got this news. Lucas Kroll signed his exclusive rights tender with the Broncos, so he's in fact will be back with the Broncos, at least through training camp and whatnot. We'll see if he actually makes the roster, like you just said. He's kind of one of those guys that's on the bubble with Evan Ingram coming over. I mean, what is Lucas Kroll really going to be able to bring to the team? That's the number one thing, and a lot of this is going to come out of like what other roles could they have on this team as far as like can they play special teams, and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good one. Lucas Kroll's, I think, a guy that's on the bubble for sure.
Gotcha. Couple comments, and we'll get yours in. Michael alluding, Broncos signed safety special team Sam Franklin to a 1-year deal today. Thank you, Michael, for that news. Believe this is Keith over on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Damari Mathis could be a 50-50. If the Broncos take a corner in the draft, Mathis could have a new home by trade or release. Ernie thinks Kroll is probably gone. And Paul's saying, yes, Mad Mathis. Trevor, your thoughts on Mathis, and who is your second?
I think Mathis is a 50-50 shot at making this roster, and maybe even a little bit less, honestly. I mean, Chris Abrams-Drain, let's not forget, this is a guy that's a name that just doesn't get talked about enough. The Broncos selected him last year. He ended up starting, Kenny. He ended up starting a game for this team last year, and it contributed. I mean, and this guy, and this is his rookie year. He's only going to continue to get better. So I think a guy like Chris Abrams-Drain continues to kind of go up the depth chart a little bit. I think it's going to dispel some of these guys that aren't, quite there, like Damari Mathis. We feel like we've been saying his name for a long time now. He just not, unfortunately has not been able to quite live up to expectations. Also, Kenny, I wouldn't rule out Denver maybe taking a cornerback in this draft, maybe later on, and maybe even signing a veteran after the draft.
Yeah, that's definitely later rounds. You want to pick up special teams guys, and if people can contribute on special teams, these 50-50 guys that we're mentioning are in trouble. So did you have another one you want to give out?
See, I'm back and forth on PJ Locke. Like, I think, listen, I wasn't the biggest component of PJ Locke last season. I really was. And I think that he didn't play well, especially in coverage. There's a reason Denver went out there and prioritized getting another safety next to Brandon Jones. PJ Locke's going to have to be able to show out and show something on this team at safety. He's going to have to, maybe he's a depth guy at this point in time at best, but I think PJ Locke's one of those 50-50 guys right now, Kenny. He's right kind of teetering on that line where like, does he make this roster or not? The Broncos, I think, are paying him, $3-4 million a year, I think, as well. So that's another position where, I mean, if they take somebody in the draft or they go out and sign maybe another veteran safety or somebody else on the depth chart, JL Skinner is another guy we can't forget about. Maybe he climbs up the charts a little bit as well at safety. PJ Locke could be a guy that could be out the door as well, and a guy that I think that just needs to step up this year if he wants a chance to make this roster.
Yeah, Karen's saying she's hearing more than one procrastinator saying PJ Locke is probably gone. She's got a question, Trevor. Do we need to draft a safety?
I mean, I don't think you need to draft one high. I mean, you just got Hufanga as well, and you got Brandon Jones. So for me, Karen, I don't think you need to draft a safety high. Now, maybe the Broncos use one of those 6th-round picks. They have 3 6th-round picks. That's a day 3 pick where maybe they take a chance on a safety. And it could be multiple different ways. Maybe he can play special teams as well, but maybe down the line he can contribute and be a starting safety in the league. You never know. You're throwing darts at the board on day 3 at that point in time in the draft. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I wouldn't rule it out. Best player on the available, and it's a safety. I mean, I don't think you can rule it out for multiple different reasons, and not that he's going to start this year, but that he could contribute on special teams and really solidify that special teams unit up. But, Karen, yeah, you can't rule out really any position other than maybe quarterback at this time for Denver to draft.
I'm with you. I don't think you can rule out any position. And like Keith's saying, could Vele be a 50-50 to make the roster? I'm going to say, Keith, he's just above that 50-50. I'm going to say 65-35. So he doesn't fall in the 50-50 for me. About you, Trevor?
Yeah, I don't think he's a 50-50 guy. I mean, they'd have to go out there and be aggressive getting a wide receiver. And I think they could still get a wide receiver in this class, Kenny. I don't know that's going to be first round. Like, as we've seen some mock drafts, if you go wide receiver first round, well, there's still a lot of talent day 2. in rounds 2 to 3, wide receiver talent still on the board, good wide receiver talent on the board. So I think with Devon Bailey making this roster last year as a 7th-round pick, and then Sean Payton going on and saying Marquise Colston, throwing that Marquise Colston name out, a guy that was with the Saints and had a very productive career, comparing Colston to Bailey. I mean, I think that shows something in his confidence in Devon Bailey. And I mean, again, Devon Bailey was one of those wide receivers last year, rookie wide receivers last year, that played over veterans like Josh Reynolds. And, Tim Patrick didn't make this roster. He was off this roster because of guys like Devon Bailey. You want to see these guys play. You want to see these guys develop. I don't think Sean Payton is ready to give up on Troy Franklin, Devon Bailey. He wants those guys to get playing time and continue to develop as wide receivers.
Few more comments, and then I'll get to my third and final. Paul thinks Vele is 100%. Michael saying 2 rookie running backs, Jaleel McLaughlin, Burton, fullback Burton are my running backs on the Broncos offense. So he doesn't think Estime is he thinks Estime may be gone too. Karen just watched a replay of one of the games in 2013 where safety stepped up. She thinks Vele sticks. Pearl, not a fan of Vele, but they like him. And Karen saying he just made too many good plays this past season. We have to develop these players instead of just dumping. And Phil had a comment, and he's saying he didn't know there was a show tonight. There was a little miscommunication on our part there, but Trevor and I made it. Keats got the night off. Trevor and I were able to come in and step in. And he said, to my surprise, there you are. He wants to know if we taken T-Mac, Tet McMillan at 20 like Kuiper projected.
First and foremost, Phil sent 100 stars. So, Phil, thank you for sending those stars, my friend. We really appreciate it. And actually, Phil, it was more of an April Fool's joke. That's what we're going to go with right now. We're 7 days late, of course, but that's our excuse. That was an April Fool's. No show on Tuesday. We're going to be here. Of course, we're going to be here on Tuesday night here for you guys and for the posse.
Yeah. And Phil's late to the show. It's a show themed around the number 50, Phil. And that's because this guy in orange is celebrating his 50th birthday tomorrow. So all our little segments here are revolved. Keith came up with a lot of the ideas, and it's around the number 50 for my 50th, which is tomorrow in a few hours. So hope you guys enjoy the agenda we have for you guys tonight. But I'll let you answer Phil's question.
Yeah, I mean, if he's on the board, Phil, that's the thing, though, is will Tet McMillan be on the board at 20? I think he might be off the board beforehand. We're just going to have to see kind of how these wide receivers kind of fall. Some of these now, Kenny, I don't know if you've noticed this in some of these mock drafts and whatnot. Some of these wide receivers are starting to fall. Mecca Buka, Luther Burden. I've seen him the other day, Kenny. He was falling to the 2nd round. I mean, some of these guys are really falling in this draft. Matthew Golden. So, Phil, it just depends on, does he fall to you at 20? I don't think Denver's going to trade up for him. But I think if he falls there, they got to at least consider taking a guy like Tet McMillan, pair him up with Cortland Sutton. Now you have a lot of size. Remember, Sean Payton likes wide receivers that have size. He's not afraid to take them early. So I think Tet McMillan falls in that category. I just don't think the Broncos are going to be in position and don't need to be to go chasing wide receivers. If he's there at 20, sure, they'll consider it. But I don't think they're going to be aggressive to go up and move him. And we'll see if he's even available at that, by the time the Broncos come around at pick 20, but I don't know that he's, going to be available though, Phil, but we shall see.
Phil's giving me a happy early birthday. Thank you, Phil. Karen keeps hearing about players suddenly rising. Why does this happen? I'll just go back to Burden real quick. Michael asked a question on a previous episode about finding players with off the field issues. I read a lot about Burden being a bad practice player. And if that's the case, he's got to fall into the right team, a disciplinarian type of coach to get him on track, because if he's a bad practice player, he's probably a bad teammate. And he played at Missouri, not one of the elite college schools in the SEC. Yeah, they had they've been better the last couple of years, but when you talk about college football, you talk about Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. Those are teams that come to mind. Michigan. Played at Missouri. He probably was given, a lot of leeway over there to stick with Missouri. And I heard the family, the mom, has also been problems as well. So you may have like a LeVar Ball type situation with him with in the NBA with the balls. Her getting involved too much could be making him drop. But as for risers, what do you think about the risers? Why does that happen, Trevor?
A lot of different things, Kenny, a lot of different reasons why. I think risers could be maybe teams didn't quite get a player that they wanted in free agency that they originally targeted. And maybe, there's players that, do well at their pro days that really rises their draft stock. Maybe there's something that a team discovered about a player that they didn't know. Because a lot of these teams, ladies and gentlemen, they do background checks on these players, and then it comes from personality. How are they in the locker room? Now, not only just on the field stuff. So I think teams have a pretty good idea of what a player is at this point in time. They're just trying to set their boards, and they're doing mock drafts too, just like we did on Friday night here on DBR. I think you're starting to see risers from teams that maybe miss out on a couple players in free agency, and maybe they need a quarterback like the Steelers. No quarterback in sight right now. I mean, you have Mason Rudolph and who else? I mean, we'll see if they do end up getting Aaron Rodgers, but would you be surprised at all if they ended up moving in maybe the back end of the first round to go get a Jackson Dart or took a Jackson Dart at some point in time? So it depends on needs for teams and how they value some of these players and where do these players end up falling, Karen? Because we can talk about risers and players falling, but we don't know what's going to shake out draft night. That's the fun part of draft night is you just don't know what exactly is going to happen. We can predict all day and all night, but we have no idea what's going to happen. And that's the fun part is trying to figure out what's going to happen. Teams don't really even know what's going to happen that night until it ends up happening on draft day.
Let's take a comment break here. We got something to catch up. After Karen, Paul saying Sean played those rookies last year for a reason.
Yep.
And he's also saying quarterbacks always rise. That's biggest.
Yeah.
That's your most expensive position on the field and your ringleader. So yeah, they will rise. Our fourth horseman, Jody Moncrief. Denver is being sneaky with wide receiver. They know Franklin cannot be wide receiver 3. Interesting. And then Keith saying Trevion Henderson at 50, wait and hope. 51, I guess that would be, unless you want to move up to the popular number 50. 50 plus 1, which is going to be our next segment coming up in a couple minutes. Michael saw Tet McMillan going to pick 18 to Seattle. And that could be realistic, yeah. Michael, because we all know they lost DK Metcalf. He would be their DK Metcalf replacement. Paul saying if Dart and Shador get picked before 20, it's good for us. If not, someone could trade up with us at 20. If Dart and Shador go before the Broncos pick, that will definitely mean somebody drops. The question is who, but somebody will drop if they both get picked. So Michael Pearl saying, Karen, there's so much BS and double talk going on. Who knows what will happen? It's smoke screens, Ms. Pearl. It's the easiest way to put it. If I'm the Bronco GM and Trevor's the Giants GM, I'm not going to tip my hand to them. It's like a poker hand. I'm not going to say I got aces and you got and Trevor's got kings. He's going to fold his hand. You try and catch people and a lot of smoke screens in the upcoming weeks. You're going to see more and more every day. Michael saying Iowa State Jaden Higgins is getting some hype first round of the draft.
Ooh. I see that, and that made one of those smoke screens, Kenny, because I like Jaden Higgins a lot. That's why I say, after McMillan goes off the board, you have Travis Hunter if he ends up being a wide receiver, and McMillan, is there really truly a number one? And after those guys, a guy like Jaden Higgins, great value pick, I think, for me, Michael, on day 2. But I love the player, a lot of length, a lot of size, and he reminds me kind of a mini Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. That's it's interesting. And Michael saying former NFL wide receiver Steve Smith has Matthew Golden as his number 1 receiver in the draft. Texas Longhorn receivers have been pretty good these last few years in the draft. I'm going to give you my number 3 real quick, Trevor, and then we'll move on to the second half of the show. My number 3, I'm taking the easy way out, chat, Trevor. Matt Hack. I watched him punt on the Giants last year. I am not sold he is the punter going forward in the draft. Now, I know in previous shows I've said, use one of your 6th round picks. No, you don't have to use a 6th round pick. Undrafted free agent, bring in a rookie by the name of Alex Mastromano from Florida State. Australian kicker. He old school kicker mentality like Jeff Fiegels. He doesn't want to kick the ball at the 10 and then he goes into the end zone. He's going to angle kick it and pin you inside the 10-yard line. And that's what I want from my punter. I don't want them getting good field position. If I can have a weapon and pin offenses inside the 10 with my defense, sign me up. Mac Hack does not have a great hang time. I'm not sold on him being the punter. I think they'll bring in a rookie free agent, or maybe if the Broncos trade back and get, a 6th-round pick and they trade back to the 7th round, you might see the Broncos use one of their late 7th-round picks if they accumulate any for a punter. But I'm not sold Hack is going to be the only punter going into camp.
Well, that's fair, and we'll see if he even makes it. I mean, it might even be a lower chance than 50% chance, Kenny. It might be like a 20% chance the way you're talking about him.
He actually came in for our Australian kicker, Scottish Hammer, I should say, when our kicker got hurt. So he didn't have a job 10 weeks into the season last year.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's my easy one out. You got any more you want to throw out, or?
Yeah, I'm looking at a name right now, and this may surprise a little bit of people, but and you went tight end earlier, Kenny. I'm going to go with Adam Troutman. It's a 50-50 for me with Adam Troutman. I mean, again, he does a lot of good things blocking-wise. So did Chris Manhurst. I mean, there's so many different you can create blocking schemes, and you can have a blocking tight ends that ain't going to cost you what, $4 or $5 million. I think that's what he's making, kind of roughly around there. I just think that with adding Evan Ingram to this team, and this team maybe going out there and drafting another tight end, Kenny, that Sean Payton wants to develop. I just don't know that where's Adam Troutman on this team. He's fine as a tight end, but you had one of the worst tight end rooms in the NFL last year, and he was part of that. And nothing to Adam Troutman. Again, he is what he is as a player. I think he's solid. I don't think he's great. I just want to be surprised if maybe he is, maybe on that bubble a little bit going into next season, because they do have Nate Atkins. People forget about Nate Atkins. He's a fullback. He's a tight end, but he can also block too, and he's a little bit cheaper than Adam Troutman.
Yeah. I'm looking at the time, Trevor. We're about 32 minutes in. I think we're about ready to move on to our next segment. I do want to apologize in advance to Pearl. We came on last minute, Pearl, so I don't have Morgan Trinket's information on there, but we do have it on our ticker down below, chat. If you can see Morgan Trinket's co on Etsy today, it's going to come up on the ticker. Ms. Pearl, if you got any shows coming up this week, if you'd like to put it in the chat, please let us know where you're going to be this upcoming weekend, and go check out Ms. Pearl at Morgan Trinkets for all your Southwest jewelry and everything. Been a great supporter of Denver Bronco Roundup for quite some time now. Show her some love, and we love you, Ms. Pearl. You support us all, and we love you.
Absolutely.
A couple comments. Jody saying we'll be scoring a lot, so we don't need a punter. Jody, you will be scoring more than last year, but everybody needs a punter. Mm-hmm. And just look at the Bronco Jet game last year. Bad weather game. You're going to have bad weather games in Denver. You're going to need a punter, and having a guy that can pin you inside the numbers, inside the 10, going to be an advantage. So go get a rookie that could compete for the job with Hack, undrafted, and see if you can steal a job from him. If not, you roll with Hack, and I'll bite my tongue.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of those things, Kenny, where special teams for me, if the Broncos got worse in any category this year, Kenny, it's on special teams for me. You lost Tremont Smith and you lost Riley Dixon. Riley Dixon was a top 10 punter in the NFL last year. That's going to be a tough replacement, and they're going to, we're going to have to see how they go about replacing a punter. Matt Hack, I mean, we'll see. He's a wait and see guy, but it's not great when they say, "Oh, we're going to still look, for competition with Matt Hack," while bringing him in. You just lost a top 10 punter in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. We got one more from Keith on this segment, and then we'll move on. Keith wants to know if Nate Atkins and Michael Burton both make the roster. Trevor.
I think both have a chance. I think for sure. I mean, I think Nate Atkins. I think for me, I mean, you can convert him into a tight end and fullback. I mean, the flexibility he has, I think alone, Keith, adds a lot of value to this roster. Michael Burton, I think Michael Burton's a really solid fullback, and Sean Payton's offense one of the few that still really use a fullback in the NFL, Kenny. So I think that both have a shot making this roster. That's the thing, though. How many of these guys, Nate Atkins, Michael Burton, Adam Troutman, are you going to be able to keep around? I'm just saying, Adam Troutman's making like around $4 or $5 million a year. It's a little expensive for a guy that just isn't, the pass catcher that you want. And it's just a solid blocker for this team. That's why I'm saying you save a little bit of money if you keep Nate Atkins and Michael Burton rather than having to pay the money that you had to pay Adam Troutman for him to come back last offseason.
Yeah, and Trevor, if you don't mind putting Keith put up the Morgan Trinkets information for everybody interested out there, if you don't mind putting that up. And Ms. Pearl's saying they're going to be at the National Shetland Sheepdog Specialty for 6 days. So, wow, nice. In Greeley County, starting next Monday, 1,200 dogs entered from the USA and Europe. Wow, keep us up to date. I love those dog shows. I only get to see the Westminster one on TV, but always a lot of fun to watch. So have fun out there, Miss Pearl, and good luck. To all the dogs, and all the dogs are champions in my opinion. So good luck to them all. All right, Trevor, we're a little past the halfway mark on our number 50 themed show. The next segment I got for everybody, it's a fun one. It's called 50 plus 1. And we're picking 51 in next year's draft. So pick 50 plus 1 is pick 51. So Trevor and I are going to give you some realistic options at 51. A lot of people, TV and everybody, they give you the first round picks, but we haven't really talked about second round picks, really given it much thought. Besides mock drafts that we've done, we haven't given much thought on the second round picks. So I thought it'd be a little fun with the 50 theme to throw some second round options at 51, which is still going to be a very good player and hopefully a big contributor for this Broncos team this year. I'll let you go first on this one, so you can get the first crack of who you want to talk about.
I'll go this direction, Kenny. I think that the Broncos will get a running back within the first two picks of the draft, this coming up draft. For me, it honestly just depends on what running back is there and able to fall there. And really, honestly, we talk about the first round a lot, though, Kenny, but a lot depends on what's going to happen at 20. Are they going to trade back, and are they going to be able to get more picks to trade up into the second round before you pick 51 to get a running back and be aggressive? George Payton did that with Javonte Williams back in 2021, something to keep in mind. But for me, Judkins could be there. I'm not a big Judkins guy. For me, Trayvon Henderson, I would love for the Broncos to be able to get him at 51. I don't know if that's going to happen. But he's a guy that I love there. If he ends up falling, I just think he fits this team to a T. I don't know that Hampton and Henderson are going to be there at 51. In my opinion, I don't think it's likely that they're at 51. Actually, I think they get taken earlier. So for me, it just kind of depends on what's running back is there and how that running back market kind of just trickles out before the Broncos pick, and a lot of depends on what they do at 20. Honestly,
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Got two people asking. I'm going to answer both of them if you don't mind. So I got Ernie saying tight end 51st pick. Trevor alluded, depends what we do in the first round, Ernie. If the Broncos don't obviously take a tight end in the first round, a guy that I'm sold on now. Earlier, a couple months ago, it was Elijah Arroyo. But now the guy that's really jumped up my boards, if he's sitting there at 51, Mason Taylor. I am just so high on this kid now. And my thoughts on this was, yeah, he's got the pedigree. His dad and uncle, both Hall of Famers. Zach Thomas is his uncle, and we all know that. So, but the guy I really, the reason why I really like Mason Taylor, chat, is LSU is known for wide receivers, never known for a tight end. So you got a tight end in a wide receiver friendly offense getting mentioned and climbing up boards left and right. I've even heard, I think it was Field Yates from somebody had him mocked in the first round, and possibility of early second round, late first round as a third tight end. I think it's more realistic he's there at 51. So Ernie, I would go tight end there. Phil wanted to know about Judkins at 51, and I don't. Phil, I got him listed on my list here. Kinshawn Judkins, I would take him, Phil, at 51. If Peyton wants the Mark Ingram type running back early in this draft, Judkins falls into that second round guy that I would be totally happy with, and definitely would take him in a second. I'll let you go, Trevor, and then we're going to catch up on the chat because a lot of people are answering and throwing some chat out there.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm not a big Judkins fan, Phil. I'll be honest with you. He's one of those running backs. I think, okay, he's a solid running back in the league, but does he spark interest in me enough to take him in the second round when there's probably going to be multiple running backs in this draft class? You have to keep this in mind. Not every one of these running backs are going to pan out. The Broncos, like a quarterback, you're going to have to pick the right guy for this system, for Sean Payton's system. I think Judkins is a fine running back. I just don't love him. I'm not in love with him enough, Kenny, to even take him at 51. I like Dylan Sampson. I like some of these other running backs a little bit higher than Judkins, honestly, on the board. I mean, I would say like Caleb Johnson, as well. Dylan Sampson. I mean, a plethora of different players. Like Quinn Allen, I like a little bit later in the draft. So some other running backs that I like over Judkins, I'm not really a big fan of him. But if the Broncos take him, I'd be interested to see how he gets acclimated with this team. I think Trayvon Henderson is the best back with the most upside out of the Ohio State running backs, in my opinion.
Great point. Couple more. Let's get to the chat. Carson Claus, our good friend Carson, over on he's co-host of mine on K&K Sports Show, but check him out also. Carson Shears Show on YouTube, does YouTube shorts. He lives in the Michigan area, so he does a lot of Detroit sports, but also covers a lot of major events. So Alex Ovechkin breaking the NHL record, March Madness. Go check out our good friend Carson at the Carson Shears Show on YouTube. Keith saying Phil, he's answering Phil. Judkins would probably be on a list of running backs possible at 51. Anyone else you'd consider? Henderson, Johnson, like you alluded to. I like Caleb Johnson a lot. I could see him possibly going before 51. If the Broncos don't take a running back at 20, you may see the Broncos move up to make sure they get their running back in round 2. That could be an option, in my opinion, too, Trevor. Because Phil's saying he really doubts Henderson's there at 51. And that's what I'm saying. Move up a few spots if he's in the early to mid 40s now. Now you can move up a few spots.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, Phil. I don't think Henderson sniffs around 51 either in the second round. I think you'd have to move up for him or Hampton. And Hampton, I'm kind of getting worried that he may not even make it to the second round. I think the Steelers are probably a team to be interested there, as they need to replace Najee Harris, who they lost in free agency. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those things is what does Denver do at 20? If they move back, you can get some more draft picks and some more assets. You can move back up in the second round, be aggressive, go get your running back, and still be able to have more assets to do a lot with, Kenny. And you know more than anybody, I'm high on this team being aggressive and getting more day 2 picks because there's a lot of talent on the board in day 2 as well.
And that's where the drafts are won, everybody, is in day 2. Second through the 4th round is where your drafts are won in the long run. So you can get players that I just look at some players on I know you guys can mention many on the Broncos, but as a Giants fan, Michael Strahan was a 2nd round pick. Justin Tuck was a 2nd round pick. Your 2nd round picks come around on day. Your day 2 picks are very valuable, is what I wanted to say. Most recently Tyler Nubin, our rookie, and Drew Phillips, Giants 3rd round corner, is going to be our starting slot corner for many years. So your drafts are won in the middle rounds. So very important. I got the okay from Ernie. Mason Taylor sounds good, Kenny, and so does Paul. I want Taylor, yes. Phil saying Caleb Johnson. Paul's also saying Hampton stands out at running back. Karen had a question right above Paul's comment there, Trevor. Top 30 visits to the Broncos. She wants to know who stands out. Caleb Johnson visited with them, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
I
was trying to
think,
find.
yeah, that was one of the early visits, I think, Karen. And that one stands out for me. And I mentioned this book each week that I'm on. And it's called Lindy's Draft Guide. And I use a lot of I research a lot of their stuff on there. It's a great book. I recommend it. Anybody interested in wanting to, keep up with the draft stuff. And this came out a couple months ago, but they had Caleb Johnson mocked to the Broncos at 20. And that talk about a reach, but he's visiting with the Broncos. I wonder if this book knows something. I'm not saying he's going to go at 20, but this could be a realistic option in the second round for the Broncos. More realistic than people think. And that stands out to me, Karen, that he visited with the Broncos as opposed to some of the other running backs, and he's mocked very high in this book that I follow.
Miss Pearl was the one that asked the question.
I'm sorry, Miss Pearl.
But for me, Kenny, and Kenny, I love your book, but that book, that book, and I disagree wholeheartedly.
We're gonna see on draft day who's right and who's wrong. So I may be going to a different book here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, to answer Miss Pearl's question as well, I mean, I would say, Miss Pearl, I do look into the top 30 visits the teams bring in players on, but I think at this point in time, like I was saying, they kind of know what these guys already are. I mean, we're in April now, and these teams should know what these guys are. I mean, these guys, I mean, these teams send scouts out, Miss Pearl, and they scout these guys, over a period of time, and it's probably about a year's work worth of work being able to scout these players and knowing them as people and knowing them off the field and how they are on the field, of course, and tape and whatnot. But for me, what stands out, I mean, it's just amount of playmakers that they've been able to bring in. Luther Burden III was one of those names they brought in. Harold Fannin Jr., Terrence Ferguson, Gunnar Helm. I mean, they brought in a lot of different playmakers to looking at. And so I think that's something to watch as we get into the draft, Kenny, is where do the Broncos end up going? Where do they value what position first? I mean, do they value tight end in the first round and just go ahead and take Colson Loveland? Or do they value running back as high, this high, and maybe take one in the first round? I mean, we won't know, but it's one of those questions that we will see what this team values positional wise. And I think a lot of it's going to depend on who is on the board at 20 before the Broncos pick.
Yeah. A couple more comments. Roy saying, I thought the show was canceled. Now you're on. It was, we got home on time, Roy. Keith's got the night off and Jody's got the night off. Trevor and I got home short notice. We're saying it's April Fool's, but we got home on time and we weren't expecting that. So, and the other fellows have the night off. So we're here. We don't want to, we want to put on the best show we can for all of you guys. And we love you guys. And that's why we love spending the hour with you all on Tuesday nights. Keith wants to know, what is the best style or wide receiver to add to the Broncos in your opinion? Do you think the slot? Do you think another tall receiver? Oh, and by the way, Keith, Trevor, you said you don't agree with my book. I didn't look at the second round, and I didn't realize there was a second round on here. They do have Mason Taylor in the second round.
Okay, I can agree with that one, but with Caleb Johnson at 20, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I guess that's their reach. And there's we'll answer Keith, a couple more hellos. Judson coming in on YouTube saying, hey everyone, slot Ibuka or Chisholm?
Yeah.
I like a Ibuka, but I don't want him at 20, so I would go Chisholm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I think Sean Payton likes his big wide receivers, though, Kenny. I mean, like yes, the Broncos need a slot wide receiver. I mean, what is Marvin Mims? I mean, you can't block talent there that's there too. For me, that's why I say, like, I don't know that Denver's going to go wide receiver in round one. They've got other guys already on the team that they want to see and continue to prove. Now, you want to bring in competition, but you want to draft a guy in the first round at wide receiver If McMillan's there, maybe. But other than that, it's like, I just, in my opinion, I just don't know that they go in that direction unless someone, falls to them. And same thing with Ibuka. Like, well, I don't know what his upside is. For me, it's wide receiver 2 probably, and he's a slot guy as well. So it'd be interesting how they would mix him in there. But yeah, I mean, I would just say another guy to go with Cortland Sutton. I mean, I'll just keep it simple, Kenny. Slot wide receiver is at a big time wide receiver like a Cortland Sutton size wise. On the other side of him, they just need some more production from the wide receiver room other than Cortland Sutton. He's going to get double teamed a lot. We've seen it in years past. You've got to have more production from your wide receivers. If that's guys on this roster, if that's Vele and Franklin, I'll be interested to see how those guys develop throughout the offseason and leading into training camp. But draft-wise, you just got to go best player available. I don't think there's either one in particular position, slot wide receiver or even big-time wide receiver that you need. If this guy's higher on your board, talent-wise, you take the best talent on the board, and then you can find a way to implement him onto this roster.
Yeah, and Trevor Lutie wants a lot of day 2 picks. If they were to get a second day 2 pick, Keith, I like Alik Aomanor. I think he's going to fit around where the Broncos pick, maybe a little after that. I'm saying anywhere from like 45 to like 60, I think is going to be his range. And what stand out from him is his performance against Travis Hunter. And if Travis Hunter is being, mocked as the best player in the draft, which I believe he is, I got to go with Alik Aomanor, who I believe he had 200 and something, over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns against Travis Hunter. I want to put Karen's comment up there. At least you're not my dad. Karen, if I'm podcasting when I'm 88 and I'm going to be 50 tomorrow, I'll do a podcast from the toilet.
I will not be live with him, Karen.
88 years old, 38 years from now, if I'm still podcasting, I'll do one from the toilet.
Oh man, I am not going to be on that one.
I'm joking. I love it. It's funny though, Karen. I like that comment. Judson saying Chisholm in the 6th. I would take a slot receiver late, and one that could be a backup punt returner, can be a kick returner, or contribute on special teams, because you never know if somebody's going to get hurt. You need the depth at all positions. So give me Chisholm in the 6th. I'm with you, Judson. Paul wants Ibuka. Roy's saying 16 days till we find out. It's coming up fast, Trevor. It's coming up fast. And I'm starting to itch for another draft show. And real quick, I'll give us a quick plug for join Denver Bronco Roundup, Rocky Mountain Sports Network, and teaming up with K&K Sports Show. We're going to be doing 3 days of live draft coverage, analysis. We're hoping to get some special guests on. Questions, comments, come interact with us. It's a lot of fun. I know some of you were here last year, all 3 days with us. We're going to have a blast doing it. We have a blast doing it. We'll have some predictions. We'll have some games. We'll do everything with you guys, and we'll make it a lot of fun and interactive for everyone. All 3 days. Keith's getting more excited about the potential corner added early to this roster. I would like a lock opposite PS2, and I'm worried if Riley Moss can be that guy. Am I wrong? I don't think he's wrong. I don't think he's wrong at all, Keith. I think corner could be in play. And, there's a guy out there I like if he slips. And we all know how high I am on Maxwell Hairston. I'm not. If he's sitting there in the second round and you want to go best player available, that's a guy to watch. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, 4.29 at the combine. Played at University of Kentucky, but watch his 2013 YouTube highlight reel. Couple pick sixes, contributes on tackles. He's not just a fast guy that's there for coverage. He's going to tackle you and hit you. And under Stoops' defense, they hit hard at Kentucky, and that's a good defense to be playing for. So watch out for that name in the draft if he's sitting there at 51, or if the Broncos trade back for a couple picks in the second round. Mm-hmm. Watch out for that name.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Keith, to answer your question here, I mean, you're not wrong that you would like a lockdown corner on the other side of PS2. PS2 doesn't get the ball thrown at him a lot. I understand that, but Riley Moss played well last year. I mean, for the most part. I mean, yes, there's at times he struggled against, like T. Higgins and whatnot, in Cincinnati, but I mean, Riley Moss is his first year. I mean, I think that he did show something and showed enough to be on the other side of PS2. If you want to add more cornerback depth, that's fine. I just don't know that you need to add another top flight cornerback, because you better be in love with him if you're taking a cornerback high in the draft, because you have other positions, in my opinion at least, that you can go after and get. I would say, again, running back, we talked about running back multiple times, a developmental tight end. I think Sean Payton wants his own tight end to develop. He did it with Jimmy Graham in New Orleans. Defensive line, we can't lose track of that. This is a good there's good depth in this draft class at defensive line. Big reason why the Philadelphia Eagles was able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs was because of their defensive line and the pressure that they were able to put on Patrick Mahomes. Well, the Broncos play in the same division as the Chiefs. You have to be able to address that defensive line as well. I know DJ Jones came back on a big contract. That doesn't mean that you can't go out there and continue to invest in that defensive line, because you have John Franklin Myers on an expiring deal, and you have Zach Allen on an expiring deal. Malcolm Roach, I think he's on an expiring deal coming up after this season as well. So you need to reinvest in that defensive line and be able to keep up to par with the rest of the teams in the NFL if you want to be successful.
Yeah, I'm going to catch up on the comments, and then we're going to, looking at the clock, we're going to do our quick segment. We're going to skip a couple. We'll do a couple next week. We got time to do a couple that we didn't get to tonight. Glenn saying hello. What's up, Glenn? Loveland, Ibuka, or Grant? Teams may want to trade up to 20 to jump Pittsburgh, or add that 5th contract year to who they like. And then a couple comments down, he says he really likes Zy Alexander with pick 85 or 122 at corner. I like Zy Alexander too, Glenn. I think he's going to be a solid day 2 pick for whoever takes him. And let's hope it could be the Bronco. Ernie saying awesome podcast. Thank you, Ernie. Anything else on this one, Trevor? Because we're running short on time. The last segment Judson saying Moss did good. It's tough to live up to PS2.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to add anything to this one, Trevor? Or I got one last one that Keith put on the agenda for us, and it's got to be a quick one. So
yeah. For me, I mean, I'm just going to add the importance of adding to that defensive line. That's just what I want to kind of mention. Maybe if you don't add one in the first round, and there's some guys kind of slipping a little bit, like Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolan and whatnot. I think that Denver needs to reinvest in that defensive line. I think it's important. It's important for me. It's one of those top needs for me in the first 3 rounds. I like to, day 1, day 2, them reinvest in that defensive line and just shore up that defensive line a little bit more for me.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And thanks again for Keith for amazing theme for tonight's agenda, the number 50. Again, celebrating my 50th tomorrow. So Keith came up with the great idea for doing a theme show around the number 50. So he put this one in at the end, a 50-second rant on my expectations, but we're going to let Trevor get his expectations too, so we can finish. So looking at the time, I got 50 seconds. My expectations for the Broncos this year is you're going to have at worst, top 5 defense. You added Dre Greenlaw, healthy. He's top linebacker in the league. Hufanga, poor man's Troy Polamalu. Stay healthy. You got a top 5 defense in the league with Bonito and PS2 leading the way. We're on the offensive side. Bo Nix, year 2. Expect nothing but better things from him. Cortland Sutton's back. He's going to be Bo Nix's number 1 guy. Bring over Evan Engram when healthy, and healthy's the key word. Top 10 tight end in the league. Broncos were the worst tight end room in the league last year. They can be a top 10 tight end room this year, maybe top 6, 7 with a good rookie. Running back is where you need help. Offensive line looks good, solid. I'm okay with the center. Not when you got 4 guys around him, they'll make the center better. Where I need to improve in this draft is running back. And by all means, if that means going to get Ashton Jeanty, go get Ashton Jeanty. If that means Mariana Hampton's your guy, you go get a Mariana Hampton. If Henderson's your guy, Henderson. Whoever Peyton wants as his running back and says is my guy, George has to make it happen. And my expectations, if that happens, and the Broncos hit at running back and hit a couple of the middle round picks, expectations are at least, Chat, Trevor, Keith, one playoff win this year, at least one. That's my expectations for the Broncos. I went a little bit over 50 seconds, but pretty close. Trevor, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to some of our comments first, Kenny, because I've probably been ranting a lot, and our posses have been having to hear me rant a lot tonight, a little bit. Maybe not rant, but just give a lot longer take than maybe what I should be. But Phil has a question here, and Phil, we appreciate all the stars that you send as well, and just you being here and being on the show and participating. We just love it. So thank you for sending the stars. We try to acknowledge them the best we possibly can. It's just me and Kenny tonight, so I'm trying to look and off to the side to see if your stars are there. So if there's a star question, thank you, and thank you for everything that you do for our podcast. He says at 51, are you taking Arroyo, Fannin, and Harvey at 51? Who are you taking, Kenny?
I got to take Arroyo out of those three. Fannin, I think could be good, Phil, but the Bowling Green scares me a little bit, and he's just a one-dimensional guy, so he's going to be a receiver. But at 51, I'm taking Arroyo over Fannin and Harvey.
Yeah, I mean, Phil, for me, I like Arroyo. I like him as a pass catcher. He's going to have to be able to stay healthy. He's going to have to be a better blocker down the line. But a nice developmental tight end. I do like Arroyo. Terrence Ferguson's another one, Phil. Is another player, another tight end that I really like. Played at Oregon and is also from Colorado. So I think the Broncos did bring him in on a visit at some point in time as well. So he's a guy that's really starting to kind of climb up my board, and a guy I'm really impressed with in this draft.
Yeah, a couple more comments to wrap it up. Jesse coming on late. I like his Luther Burden at 20. I like Luther Burden with Sean Payton because Payton is a disciplinarian. I'm not worried about the off the field issues with Luther Burden in Denver. Put him on a big market like New York, LA. I'm worried about Luther Burden. In Denver, I'm not worried about Luther Burden. So if that's the pick, I would be happy with that. And Caleb Johnson, we like him. I like him a lot, Jesse. I would take him at 51 as well. Paul wants to know what I'm doing tomorrow. Well, Paul, lunch with some friends, and then 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, K&K Sports Show, my other podcast. And then 10 o'clock, we're going to be doing Let's Talk Broncos on the K&K Sports Show. So hopefully you can hang out with us over there tomorrow night if you're not doing anything at those hours. And then the last couple comments, Roy is agreeing with me on Arroyo. Glenn saying Ferguson all-around game is awesome. And another teammate of the Oregon, bring the Oregon guys over. Hey, Georgia guys over at Georgia defense over in Philly. Let's bring the Oregon offense over to Denver. I'm okay with that. Paul wants to get Tez Johnson and the Oregon tight end. The band's back together. We all know Tez is adopted. Is the adopted brother of Bo Nix. And then last couple comments, Trevor, we'll get final thoughts in. Tez is like 156 from Judson. Hope he doesn't get hit. And Captain saying, thanks for joining in, Captain. Rob Little went to Bowling Green. They have a good player once in a while. Want to get some final thoughts in, Trevor? You want to give me a 50-second rant?
Yeah, I'll just give my final thoughts. I think everybody's heard me rant for the most part tonight. But a question for you, Kenny. So on wide receivers, Emeka Egbuka. So do you have him kind of lower on your board? Does that mean Luther Burden is you're a little bit higher on than Emeka Egbuka?
Yes.
So you said you would take Luther Burden at 20, but not Emeka Egbuka.
For the Broncos. It's got to be like the Broncos, Mike Tomlin. It's got to be those coaches that have been around a while. Because reading about his off the field issues, I think it's something that a veteran head coach ain't going to stand for. But a rookie head coach, he goes to a team where he's going to be the diva. It's not going to happen in Denver. He ain't going to allow Luther Burden to be the diva. He ain't going to, Mike Tomlin not going to allow it. So for the Broncos, Luther Burden over Egbuka for me, but Egbuka over Burden for many teams in the first round.
Okay.
Or wherever they're drafted.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to ask you that question. Paul comes in here and says we need wide receiver, running back, and tight end in the first 3 rounds. Paul, I would say yes, those are positions are in consideration. I'd say defensive line is also in consideration there. I know I keep hammering that nail kind of down a lot, but it's really important you have a good defensive line in the NFL if you want to be successful. Look at the Eagles. Look how the Chiefs have orchestrated their roster over the years. You have to invest in that position. It's a premium position, starting to become a premium position. I mean, in the NFL, and that's if maybe you can get a nose tackle or get a guy with pressure. You just have to reinvest in that defensive line at some point in time. And then Phil Kenny, lastly here, says, Trevor, do we take Hampton somewhere?
I think that's Harmon.
Oh, Harmon. Oh, Harmon. Oh, okay. Sorry, Phil. Harmon. Phil, yes, I've heard his name quite around, right around Denver at 20. I don't know if they're high on him, if that's their player in particular. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the pick, Phil. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos want defensive line in the first round just in total, Kenny and Phil and Posse. But I do think that he would be a guy that they would at least look at if they're looking to address that defensive line and reinvest into that defensive line. But I do like Harmon. Tyleik Williams, Phil's another defensive lineman, nose tackle that I like out of Ohio State. He's a guy that's I really like and value-wise. I don't know if you want to take him at 20, but if you can move back and get a defensive lineman, get more day 2 picks, and still be able to get your playmakers, and on day 2, for me, that's ideal. But I think Harmon would be in place there, Phil, for the Broncos in the first round.
Yeah, I agree with you. And back to Ibuka real quick, and we'll get going.
Yeah.
Better character and all around game, and his blocking impressive, and pairing him with Henderson. I think there's a chance, Glenn, that Seattle grabs Ibuka, pairs him with his Ohio State alumni over there, keeping the Ohio State theme going with Njigba and Ibuka could be dangerous with Sam Darnold throwing him the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Judson coming in here and saying D-line definitely first few rounds. Absolutely agree. Maybe not first round Judson, but definitely early on in the draft. I think it's something you have to look at with the amount of depth, defensive line depth that is in this draft class.
And I got to break it. Last comment of the night. Patrick Wiltsey coming in. Aloha, boys. Sorry to catch things so late. Patrick over there, Lion Coffee in Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands, celebrating 164-year anniversary. He sends us coffee and teas all the time. Go check out 160, I should say. I said 164. Been around for 160 years. The stuff is amazing. I just had some vanilla macadamia nut, and we got toasted coconut as well, getting ready to open that one soon. So thank you, Patrick, always taking care of us at Denver Bronco Roundup and all over the United States. So check out Lion Coffee today.
Absolutely.
I think final thoughts. Any final thoughts? I think that's it for me. I want to thank everybody. A lot of names to mention. So we see you all. Thank you for the star givers, Michael and Phil. Appreciate everybody out there. Karen, many others. Judson coming in late. Ernie, Miss Pearl, Morgan Trinkets. Check her out. 1,280 dogs at the show in Shetland. Shetland sheep, I think she said earlier. So thank you guys. Trevor, final words for you, my friend.
Yeah, Kenny, thank you for coming on and just being an amazing co-host with me and everybody in the posse, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are amazing. We do this for you guys. It was, a little joke. It was a April Fool's joke. We're going to say that because we were going to have a podcast tonight. We love you guys, and we want to be able to be on here as much as possible. We love the consistency and to be here for you guys and posse as much as possible and talk football with you guys and give you guys the information that we have. So just I want to thank everybody in the posse tonight, being able to watch now live or after the fact. Just really want a big thank you to everybody. You guys really, truly are amazing. The best fans out there. We have the best posse. We are so lucky. Kenny, happy birthday tomorrow, my friend. I hope you enjoy your birthday tomorrow. And we really, really appreciate you here and everything you do here at Denver Bronco Roundup. You're amazing, and the show wouldn't be the same without you.
Thank you. Kenny, what are your birthday plans from Rocky Mountain Sports Network? Lunch with some friends, K&K Sports Show, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's Talk Broncos, 10 Eastern. I will be on with Kurt. We're going to be getting him all fired up as always. So come check us out over there. It's a one-of-a-kind, unique East Coast Broncos podcast. So come check us out. Those are my plans. It's a Wednesday night, so not too much planned. Sunday, go out with some friends Sunday night for a birthday dinner. So little future plans. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Karen, and thank you everybody for the birthday wishes. Means a lot.
Absolutely. And Kenny, we don't go out of here without doing the big old mile high salute to end the show. So we'll give everybody the big mile high salute on our way out. We'll see
I know
you
the
guys.
beginning. Keep your foot in the stirrups, and we'll give the mile high salute.
Absolutely.